I'm Riana Manuel-Peña, brand director at G4 TV, and I'm joined by my lovely panelists here. First, we have Danny Peña, founder and co-host at Gamertag Radio, as well as the games editorial lead at G4. And we have Parris Lilly, the co-host of Gamertag Radio and Kinda Funny Xcast. And last but definitely not least, Stella Chung, video producer, host, and editor at IGN. Welcome, everybody. The series starts with a whole new character, Kwan Ha, and everything going on with her and Planet Madrigal, and them, of course, falling under attack. So, Stella, I'm interested to hear from you.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel they did in introducing this brand new character?
First of all, as a South Korean woman, I am very happy to see that representation. I wasn't actually entirely sure that she was Korean, but as soon as I heard her speaking to her dad, I was like, oh my God, So because, you know, English is actually not my first language. So I grew up learning Korean first. So hearing that, I was like, wait, that's not English I'm hearing. That's actually Korean. And I was like, I don't need subtitles. This is amazing. It felt really good because you don't get to see that in a lot of Western media, right? So for me, seeing that, I was like, oh, I'm instantly invested in her character and seeing her growing into herself. There were a lot of, I think, generational struggles that you did kind of see with her character, which was really cool because like, I've definitely gone through that. So it was really interesting to see her take such an important role. And I'm really curious to see where she'll go because I'm very invested now. She's one of my favorite characters, you know, totally not biased or anything.
You know, I think that's another great thing that they did starting off the show in the pilot is giving us a different perspective with that character. And again, we talk about the diversity of it and just seeing the non-UNSC, non-covenant point of view of this world. And to almost by the end of that episode, I go, is UNSC not the good guys? I've always thought they were the good guys. Maybe they're not. And seeing it through her eyes that way made so much sense to me. I really enjoyed that. And I think as we talk about diversity and inclusion and this universe that Halo is, that's the perspective that I really liked, that we're getting a different point of view than we got from the games, where everything is through that filter of you're Master Chief, you're the hero. Here's a different perspective. Here are people that do not trust the UNSC, that obviously the Covenant is a threat. And when we translate that into the world that we live in today, I could relate to that because being an African-American, being a person of color in this world, you don't necessarily trust everything that you see on the surface, right? You're going to have doubt. You're not going to take things at face value. And that's what we got from that first episode. And I thought it was great.
And to that too, I felt it, you know, when she was talking to her dad, even on episode 7, seeing different generations from her family, that was a very powerful moment for me. That stood out the most, I think, in the series for me.
All of the moments between Kwan Ha and when she addresses her dad as Oppa, like I can feel what that means to her and what diversity and representation, even in an alternate universe and science fiction, can do for us as viewers, as people consuming these forms of entertainment. I'd be interested to hear from you, Parris, from you, Danny, like what does that representation mean for you in sci-fi in general, whenever you're watching something that's in a fictional world?
Oh, it's extremely important to me. To be able to see someone that looks like me on the screen. And like, I'm a huge nerd. I love sci-fi, you know, obviously goes back to things like Star Trek and all that, but having that in Halo and seeing so many diverse cultures and races coming together for a common goal is great. And like I said, to see someone like myself be represented in that vein as well is very important. So I, again, take it back to the pilot episode and to just see the diversity that they showed in that group of people. And even on the UNSC side, to see the admiral, who clearly is of a Indian/Pakistani descent, be a leader, to be in charge, to be the person making the tough decisions. Obviously, we talk about Miranda and Captain Keyes being African-American and being in those positions that they are. Well, extremely important. I mean, you know, so yeah, I absolutely love that. I do think they really nailed that representation in the series.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, as a Latino, we get frustrated when we get to see, you know, the same drug dealers,
Right.
maids and
Right.
everything. It's frustrating seeing that, growing up, I'm always been a geek. I've always been into like TV and gaming. And to see that's powerful. That's going to influence and inspire a lot of people to get into acting and even into gaming too. And not only that, we also got to talk about the production crew behind the scenes too, people that we don't see on camera, that also different races too. I think that's very, very important.
I will also give another shout out. Thank you, Parris, for mentioning Miranda Keys' character. I love seeing a Black woman represented on screen who is not a tower of strength, who is not 100% sure of every move she's making. She has doubts. She's a fully complex individual. And I know that's a stereotype that's often placed upon Black women. And it's just wonderful to see her represented as such a real human and somebody who has so many different emotions, different relationships with her parents, and is completely new to this audience in this portrayal. And I'm very excited to see how her character develops. And obviously Kwan Ha is just number one. Like she is incredible.
All the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. So some really great representations of the Admiral as well, like lots of women of color and very diverse in the way that they are portrayed in addition to their ethnicities.
Can I say something real quick? We haven't mentioned too. There's more women main characters in this series more than anything too. I think that's very, very powerful too. You gotta mention that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that. And Danny, thank you for mentioning the folks behind the camera as well, because there's lots of people who come together to make something as amazing as a video game or a television show. So as we sort of bring this conversation to a close, I'd love to know from everyone, any final thoughts on what they see in the future of Halo, the games, the actual TV series, and different representation examples that have really impressed you and what you hope to see them lean into even more. Obviously, Kwan Ha is at the top of our list.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like I said, I keep going back to the language thing, but I think it was 6 or 7. We did see Kwan Ha kind of open up these scrolls, right? And it was like ancient text. The way that it was written was actually done properly. This is really cool. Clearly, they did their research, and it makes me really happy to see that level of effort being put in. So as long as that quality of care is put into these characters that we obviously want to see holding up our representation, as long as that quality stays, I think I'll be happy. We were talking about how people behind the screens also with production help a lot. Like a small discussion goes a long way, just helping educate and helping people learn how best to present these things.
Looking at the numbers of like how many people are actually watching the show, and it's a huge success. And I hope we're gonna get to see more of people of color in the show in the future too. And also for the team, the writers especially, get feedback from the fans of Halo, through social media.
I would say, because I want to make sure we don't forget this when we talk about just diversity and inclusion, bring it back to Soren again and his family. I have a biracial family, and I think to see that being represented on screen is very important, because I think that, again, is a representation of the real world versus, what people, may assume. There's obviously a lot of biracial families out there. So to see him be a good father, be a protector of his family, I think is very important. So I would love to see that explored more. It would be interesting to see if the show integrates more in with Halo Infinite, the current version of the video game, as well as just some of the other lore elements that we've seen throughout the books. It has been good to see Halo on screen, and to see that we know we're at least going to get another season of it, and hopefully we're going to get a lot more of those, because I think there's so many stories that can be told in this universe. And I think, again, when we bring diversity and inclusion into this, to just see the variety of cultures and dialects and races that can be involved in this world and be represented on screen, I think is very important. So excited for it, for sure.
So that was our discussion on diversity and representation in the Halo series. I am Riana Manuel-Peña, and thank you to my panelists here, Danny, Parris, and Stella, for this wonderful conversation. And let's keep this going. Let's keep these dialogues open, keep representation moving forward, and get excited for season 2.